Good evening, and thank you for joining us on CoreTV News on the hour. I am Ebulomo Adikuli. President Goodluck Jonathan has continued his quest for re-election with a campaign rally to the Yobe state capital, Damaturu. The president, who was accompanied to the rally by leaders of the party, promised the people of the state that Boko Haram insurgents will soon be defeated very soon.
My grateful of Yobe State. I love you so much. That is one of the reasons why I set up the Federal University in this state. I grew up from a very rural area. But I had the opportunity to go to school. That's why I'm here as your president. That's why I brought the Almajiri schools and the university to Yobe State. So that tomorrow one of your children will be like me.
Following the Federal Executive Council approval of the implementation of over 600 resolutions made at the 2014 National Conference, Afenifere Group has affirmed its total support of the re-election bid of President Goodluck Jonathan, saying the implementation of the resolutions will be of utmost benefit to the Yorubas. The group made this endorsement at the post-national conference summit held in Lagos. Our correspondent, Patience Ajiboye, was there and filed in this report.
It was the fourth post-national conference summit convened by the governor of Ondo State, Olusegun Mimiko, in Lagos. The summit, which was tagged "Tomorrow Starts Today," had in attendance Afenifere Group members and other supporters. At the summit, Mimiko revealed to the participants that the agitations of the Yoruba nation had never been given full attention until the Jonathan administration.
If there was one single incident that showed us clearly that what unites us as a nation is far greater than what divides us, it is that conference. Over 600 resolutions of the conference were read by 492 delegates through consensus.
Taking advantage of the platform, the Afenifere Group vowed support for the re-election bid of President Goodluck Jonathan, saying he's the only president who ever organized a national conference to listen to the yearnings of the people.
2014 National Conference has set Nigeria on a path of true federalism. Do not forget that the Yoruba, before independence up to now, what we have always strove for is for Nigeria to be a true federation. That was what our Lord led us to agitate for within Nigeria, because we know the benefit of it, that there is no way you can run a multi-ethnic nation like Nigeria along unity system and you don't have the discontents, the breakdown in governance that we have at the moment. So that conference having held passed over 600 resolutions, and those 600 resolutions are what it takes to move Nigeria forward, for every part of Nigeria to prosper, to move at their own pace, to develop at their own level, and to maximize all our potentials.
Chairman of the summit, Ayo Adebanjo, who says he was a victim of APC presidential candidate Muhammadu Buhari's high-handedness, says President Jonathan is a choice of the Yoruba people.
Examine them once from the beginning. Who is an independent follower of that group? You have to examine all this. These are the people now who want to turn Yoruba back to the joint that have rejected, and our forefathers have fought for the freedom and have had it. It is in your interest to go and vote solidly for Jonathan.
Despite the open endorsement of President Goodluck Jonathan by Afenifere Group, the verdict of the March 28th presidential election is still dependent on the electorate. Patience Ajiboye, CoreTV News, Lagos.
And contrary to the recent endorsement of the People's Democratic Party's presidential candidate, President Goodluck Jonathan, as the choice of the Yoruba nation by the Afenifere Group, another group of eminent Yoruba leaders say such public support is not a true representation of the interests of Yorubas, adding that the current administration has performed poorly in satisfying the interests of the people and therefore deserves to be changed. According to the vice presidential candidate of the All Progressives Congress, Yemi Osinbajo, the past 6 years of governance in the country has been the worst of its kind, with far-reaching negative impact on the country's population. Omotayalo has details.
This Yoruba Assembly has mentioned the issue of marginalization and neglect of the Yoruba clan as a problem to be jointly tackled, with a determination to make changes in the coming elections. The theme of the summit was tagged Yoruba People, Aspirations and Minimum Demands from the Central Government of Nigeria, a subject of interest to these traditional rulers who say beyond the implementation of the 2013 National Conference, the Yorubas deserves more than they are currently getting.
He's not a faithful person. It's not a trustworthy friend. That there will be no vote for him.
I'm not impressed for how the Jonathan served us. I decided to use my vote for Buhari.
For these Yoruba state governors, the people of Yoruba can only achieve a common good if some of its members refuse to be bought over by economic gains, thereby shortchanging the general good of all. The Osun State Governor Rauf Aregbesola stressed that any Yoruba who votes for Jonathan is an individual whose roots as an Oduduwa descendant should be questioned.
It is clear that Yorubas are for progress, Yorubas are for development, Yorubas are for justice and equity, and therefore we will pursue democracy with all our vigor.
The Yorubas have become, in the words of Senegalese film director, producer and writer, Sembene Usman, hewers of wood and drawers of water in their land. Like kings once bright and beautiful, our land has suffered great assaults.
On his part, the vice presidential candidate of APC, Yemi Osinbajo, says individuals have the right to endorse whichever candidate they want, but a true Yoruba would not be doing a good service to his people by choosing a government that have not impressed many Nigerians.
The creation of jobs, finally back jobs per state. We've talked of the social welfare scheme. The APC has the most comprehensive program for lifting the majority of Nigerians who are poor, 110 million poor people, out of poverty. That's our message to the entire nation.
Several speakers who were also delegates of the 2014 National Conference took turns to synthesize the gathering of the agenda for the Yoruba people and why a Jonathan-led administration cannot fulfill such. They also charged them to vote wisely without compromising the future of the unborn Yoruba generation. Omotayalo, CoreTV News, Ibadan.
The presidential candidate of the All Progressives Congress, Muhammadu Buhari, has promised to work to ensure measures that will check the spate of violence against women in the country if he emerges winner of the March 28th polls. Buhari made this known during a town hall meeting with women in Lagos. Abiola Oluwole reports that Buhari also met with Lagos State Association of Artisans and Tradesmen. His report is presented from our studio.
Ahead of general elections, political gladiators have continued to woo the electorate across board. The presidential candidate of the All Progressive Congress in the March 28 polls, Muhammadu Buhari, and the leadership of the party were in Lagos to give an insight into their plans for women and artisans if they emerge victorious at the poll. At the meeting in Lagos, Buhari assured them that he will work to ensure the legal framework that will further guarantee their rights if elected. He says corruption, insecurity and bad governance remain the bane of the nation.
These forms a vicious circle which needs the cooperation of all Nigerians to break it. If the Naira continues to go down, as I said, the factory will close. If there is no power, the factory will continue to close. If there is no security, people will take cover. Those that can afford it will leave the country. Those of us that are stuck here will remain and suffer.
The town hall meeting with the artisans and tradesmen was another platform for Buhari to interact with the informal sector after listening to problems highlighted by the artisans hindering the growth of their businesses. Buhari promised to ensure periodic training, stable power supply, an interest-free loan to aid their contribution to the nation's economy.
Our government, if elected, promises to provide basic support to your businesses, especially with regards to power, which constitutes about 30 to 40% of your operational costs and eating into your profits.
Speaking in the same vein, Lagos State Governor Babatunde Fashola and the national leader of the party, Bola Tinubu, urged the artisans to support Buhari and other candidates of the APC to change what they describe as an unintelligent government led by the PDP.
I will vote for General Buhari, and I know that General Buhari will vote for himself. But you know what? After offering himself and voting for himself and coming to answer questions from you, that's all that he can really do for himself. He cannot elect himself. Are you ready to elect him? At a very crucial time in every nation state, you need those who are intelligent, brilliant, and think good vision enough to steer the ship of the nation.
As politicians explore ways of selling their programs to the electorate, the expectation of Nigerians, according to political watchers, is good governance irrespective of the party that wins the election.
It's the CoreTV News on the hour. We'll take a break and return with more reports. Please don't go away.
The army was not supposed to be visible or to be around any polling unit unless there is a breakdown of law and order and they have been invited by the Inspector General of Police.
That elections are sheltered in Africa is no news. But in Nigeria, it comes with consequences.
Against the will of one man.
Consequences that have toggled the nation's politics and may shape how Nigeria elects.
This is the year of PDP.
The momentum gathers.
When we promise, we deliver.
The fireworks is unending.
We did it and continue to do it.
55 years this year, and in her fourth republic, this is Nigeria's 5th general elections. All the action, all the news, the updates, and the news behind the news we will bring to you live from the field and in the studio on CoreTV News as Nigeria elects.
Thank you so much for being there with us. And for more news and other information, you can visit a social media platform on Facebook, facebook.com/CoreTV News, our Twitter handle @CoreTV News NG, and on YouTube, youtube.com/CoreTV, leave a space, then news. A federal high court in Abuja has fixed March 24th to rule on whether it has jurisdiction to entertain a suit challenging the eligibility of presidential candidate of the All Progressives Congress, Muhammadu Buhari, for the 2015 presidential election. At the resumed hearing on Thursday, counsel to the plaintiff Mike Ozekume asked the court to determine the priors and originating summons together with jurisdiction. He further requested for accelerated hearing, noting that the outcome of the case would have an effect on the presidential elections. But the defense counsel, Wale Olanikbekun and Lateef Fagbemi, objected, pointing out that no section of the electoral law says judgments must be delivered before election. After listening to all the parties, presiding judge Justice Adeniyi Ademola adjourned the case to
We are
Tuesday
saying
next week
that the
for hearing.
originating summons in this case, filed by us, for the interpretation of certain provisions of the 1999 Constitution and the Electoral Act concerning qualification, particularly from CF001, and the issue of whether his academic qualifications were duly attached or ascertained by INEC before giving the go-ahead. We are saying that this matter should be constructed, should be looked into by the court. If the court finds that he has deviated from the provisions of the Electoral Act and the Constitution.
First thing in law, when you go to court to file your processes, the other party must be served. And the position of my client for now is that he's not been served. It's not been served in accordance with the law, in accordance with the procedure, in accordance with the statutes. We have to take that one first. And when we were here on the 23rd of February, the court adjourned to today for hearing of all the pending applications. And when we got to court, claimant's counsel stood up to tell the court that he will want all the applications, including his own originating summons, to which we have not responded, to be consolidated. And that's what we have taken objection to.
The right of the plaintiff is important, just as that of the defendant. The plaintiff has a right to approach the court, but the defendant also has a right to be brought to court via the proper procedure. If that has not been done, we all know and appreciate the fact that service is a very important and fundamental aspect of a case. And unless there is service or proper service, the case cannot progress.
The Independent Democrats have denounced claims of an alliance with the presidential candidate of the All Progressives Congress, Muhammadu Buhari. The party said this in reaction to a report in national newspaper that included the ID as one of 13 political parties that have agreed to back the APC presidential candidate. Independent Democrats said in a statement issued by its National Director of Operations, Chidi Ike, that it stands on its position of adopting President Goodluck Jonathan as the presidential candidate. Ike noted that the party had on December 11, 2014, adopted President Goodluck Jonathan at a national convention monitored by the Independent National Electoral Commission. Wife of the APC presidential candidate Aisha Buhari, in response to the wife of President Jonathan's alleged claims that the APC presidential candidate Muhammadu Buhari will jail his political opponents if elected president in the March 28th general elections. She allayed her fears, saying Nigerians only want a change in the way the country is being run presently. Speaking at a mega rally where she interacted with women in Edo State at the Samuel Ogbemudia Stadium, Benin, Aisha Buhari says the PDP's attempt to paint her husband black in the name of religion is a desperate attempt to hoodwink the people, saying only those who want to loot the treasury campaign with religion, which is at variance with politics, would do that. She went on to say each zone of the country has its peculiar problems and that girl child trafficking should be considered as a major problem, a problem she blamed on unemployment. Aisha affirms that Muhammadu Buhari is a leader who led Nigeria some decades ago and he is coming back now to sanitize the system. In his address to the women, Governor Adams Oshomole urged them to vote for the APC since the PDP has failed in 16 years to deliver on electricity and other basic infrastructure. The All Progressives Congress says it has uncovered another plot being hatched against the leadership of the party by sympathizers of the ruling People's Democratic Party. According to the APC, the plot is to import a huge amount of money in US dollars, which are being ferried into Nigeria by some people who then claim they were hired as cash couriers by APC leaders. The party made this allegation in a statement issued by its National Publicity Secretary, Lai Mohammed, in Abuja. The party says the funds are to be ferried into the country through the Seme or Idiroko or any other border posts anytime from now. Security operatives are blaming the return of fuel queues in some parts of the country on the refusal by petrol tankers to load petroleum products from the south for distribution to the north for fear of being caught in post-election violence. The Department of State Services disclosed this in a statement issued by its spokesperson, Marilyn Oga, in Abuja. She, however, said heads of security agencies have ordered appropriate security cover for tanker drivers in the run-up to the election. Senate President David Mark is concerned over the level of devastation and killings in Egba community of Agatu local government of Benue State after a recent invasion by armed men suspected to be Fulani herdsmen. Mark, who was on the spot assessment of the wreckage, likened what he saw to genocide. It said the action of the perpetrators is nothing but absolute criminality, which must be addressed as such. The Senate president told his heartbroken constituents that President Goodluck Jonathan had, during the last Security Council meeting, set up a panel to investigate the mayhem. He therefore counselled the people to continue to maintain peace, as government has enough apparatus to deal with the situation in a way that would bring justice to all concerned. Senator Mack also visited the makeshift tent housing some injured survivors of the attack, as well as internally displaced persons. He later visited the site where the murdered persons were said to have been given mass burial. We'll take another break now and we'll return with stories from outside Nigeria. Please stay with us.
You can now watch CoreTV News live from anywhere in the world on our website, www.coretvnews.com. Click on Live TV on our website and watch us live.
And welcome to CoreTV Primetime Days.
To follow us on Twitter, click on Twitter icon on our website. On Facebook, click on the Facebook and YouTube to see all our previous news production. You can also watch us live on YouTube. Click CoreTV, leave a space, then News. CoreTV News, our 24-hour news station.
And now outside Nigeria, U.S. President Barack Obama has called Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu to congratulate him on his recent election win after a campaign that soured relations between the two allies. Obama spoke to the Israeli leader to congratulate him on his party's success in winning a plurality of Senate seats, the White House said. The president emphasized the importance of the United States places on the close military, intelligence and security cooperations with Israel, which reflects the deep and abiding partnership between both countries. Ties have been tested by Netanyahu's pledge on the campaign trail to oppose the creation of a Palestinian state, which had been the starting point of countless rounds of Middle East peace negotiations. The White House said that during the conversation, Obama reaffirmed the United States' long-standing commitment to a two-state solution that results in a secure Israel alongside a sovereign and viable Palestine. Since the election, Netanyahu sought to roll back on his campaign rhetoric, but the White House has pointedly stated it will review policies that provided diplomatic cover for Israel at the United Nations. And that's it on the news for this time. Do join us again, top of the hour for more. Thank you for watching. I am Ebunlomo Adekunle.